Okay, hi everyone. Today we're going to focus on a really important lesson. This has to do with the three branches of the Roman government. You know yesterday from our lesson that a tripartite government, T-R-I means three, like a triceratops dinosaur had three horns. So we're going to talk about the three branches of this Roman government. They are not exactly the three branches of the United States government, but the blueprint of the Roman Republic in the form of government that it was is the exact blueprint that we used in this country, in the United States of America, that our founding fathers worked on. So let's look at here. First, to understand the three branches, you need to know why there are three branches to government. Each part of the government, each branch, had its own powers, rights, and privileges. So powers, rights, and privileges means they had their own job to do, they had their own boundaries to operate within, and they couldn't go outside of those boundaries. Back then, they realized it in Rome during the Republic, and today, in the United States, we are a republic. It is useful to have three branches to a government because it can balance each of the other branches. By balancing the other branches of government with all of their different rights, privileges, and powers, it ensures that no single branch or group within the government can dominate the other branches. So in the United States, as we'll talk about more this week, we have a president who runs an executive branch. He doesn't have all the power in the world, though, because the legislative and judicial branches, the other two branches, can check on his power. We'll get into this more this week, but it's literally called checks and balances. Each branch of the government has a job to do and a lot of power, but not more power than any of the other branches. And by having three branches, that the Romans did this, it meant that each branch has a vote on something. And if two of the branches decide on something and the third branch disagrees, then the majority is 2/3 of those branches agree on something. So they would make a rule or a law or declare war. So why were there three branches in Rome? Because of the compromise. The plebeians, they were organizing and they were upset. They wanted more say and more power in government. The patricians had to give them that power. So branch number one, we'll go through the three branches today. As a vocab word, it's magistrates. The first branch of the Roman government is just called the magistrates, okay? And these are people that are elected officials. The magistrates are entirely coming from, this first branch is made up entirely of patricians voting for patricians. So branch number one, the magistrates, these elected officials, are coming from the upper class. The second vocab word for this branch are consul, the consuls. These are the two most powerful magistrates in Rome. These are technically the two most powerful people in the city of Rome. And they're elected each year to run the city and lead the army. And you might be asking why they do it every single year, so that not one consul or two consuls can have too much power and end up staying in power for a long time. Just like the president in our country, in the U.S., they get elected every 4 years. They might win two terms in a row, which is 8 years, but after that, their limit is up. We got this idea from this first branch in Rome of the Republic, the magistrates. These elected officials had so much power as a consul to run the city of Rome that they were only allowed to run for 1 year before getting reelected or someone else being elected. And there are two consuls, just like there are three branches, for balance, so that neither of these two really important elected officials, the consuls, could get too powerful. Think of the consul as the two consuls as like the two mayors or even the two presidents of the city of Rome. Okay, there are two mayors in the city of Rome. They have a lot of that power, and there are two because one person can establish themselves to be too powerful, like a king, but with two consuls, they need to compromise, just like there's three branches of government. So there's compromise, there's balance. By having two consuls in this branch of these elected officials, these magistrates that are coming only from the upper class, only patricians, there are two of them to balance that power. Branch number two is also made up of just the upper class patricians. This is called the Senate, and today we have a Senate as well, so we get the word exactly from ancient Rome. The Roman Senate is a council of wealthy and powerful Romans, who are the patricians, the nobles, that advised the city's leaders, which are the consuls. So what you have now is the second branch supports and advises the first branch. So two of these three branches of government are going to be made up and dominated entirely by the upper-class patricians. The Senate includes 300 members. It's a large number. Oftentimes it was always older men. They had 300 members because it reflected all of the people that were land-owning nobility. They ended up serving for life. Okay, that's why they ended up being older men oftentimes, because they are politically involved. They would start to get involved in the Senate. Once you're in the Senate, you have the right to serve for life. And in a way, that's a good thing, I guess you could say, because this means that you have experience and you've seen or heard and done a lot of things, and you can add those experiences to what you need to your job, to being a Roman senator. And I guess the bad part of this, the downside of serving for life, is that what if you're not a good senator, or you don't care as much anymore, or you have ideas that no one else finds are popular, but you're still there for life? Eventually, down the road, the laws will change, and the Senate actually has control over finances and money. So if the first branch of magistrates, these consuls, are asking for money because they want to, fix the roads or build new buildings or work on the wall around the city of Rome, they would need to actually get permission from the Senate. And that right there is a form of balance. Okay? It's a form of balance, because your first branch, the magistrates, might be the most powerful people in the city, but they still don't have financial power unless it comes from the Senate, so they need to compromise and work together. And now our third branch of government. This is the branch that was allowed by the patricians as a compromise. We talked earlier in last week that there were plebeians and patricians, and the plebeians are the lower class common people, and they far outnumber the number of patricians that there are. And so this third branch ended up representing the lower class. It ended up representing the plebeians, because the patricians recognized that this government would not last if more people weren't given a say in government. And so they're called assemblies and tribunes. The assemblies are just the councils, the groups of plebeians that come together to discuss different things. But this idea of a tribune, this title of this person, tribune, is the same as a consul. It's the same as an elected magistrate in the first branch, a consul, only the consul comes from the upper class, and the tribune is a consul for the lower class. This branch had a lot of power, though, since branch 1, the magistrates, and branch 2, the Roman Senate, are both made up of patricians. It would be pretty easy to assume that those two branches would often come together and outvote the third branch of assemblies and tribunes from the lower class, the plebeians. So they have a lot of extra powers since they're one branch. You can't ignore them. This branch could approve laws for Rome. It had the power to declare war, and it had the power to help elect these magistrates in the first branch. So it gives you power over the first branch. Okay? This branch, specifically branch 3, assemblies and tribunes, it balanced the power of the patricians in government. And without this compromise, without this balance, there wouldn't have been peace in Rome. It would have been the lower class rising up to overthrow the upper class, the patricians. And so the patricians recognized this, and they understood that there needed to be a change. So this third branch was created. But it wasn't just created to say, look, you're important too. It was created with some actual power right here. Okay? They could approve laws, declare war, and even help elect certain magistrates or get them not to be elected. That right there is power. It's called accountability. You can't just give the plebeians a branch and outvote them. You have to deal with these plebeians. You have to accept that the lower class people still have a right in this government, or it's not a true republic.